Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nichol.
Thank you so much for joining us on Series 8. Now, Series 7, we talked to Team Canada's Paralympians, and in this series, I will be dropping in with Soldier On athletes. If you don't know what Soldier On is, let me explain. It's a program of the Canadian Armed Forces which contributes to the recovery of ill and injured Canadian Armed Force members and veterans by providing opportunities and resources through sport, recreational, and creative activities. I can't wait to drop in with these soldiers as they share their stories with us. This is episode 71. Let me introduce the guest that we will be dropping in with today. This guest joined the military, the Royal Canadian Navy, in 1999, serving on different units. In 2002, she was deployed with HMCS Winnipeg to serve in Operation Apollo, a code name for the operation conducted by Canadian forces in support of the United States, Operation Enduring Freedom, and military operations in Afghanistan. She released from the military in 2007. In 2008, she began to display symptoms of PTSD and anxiety, which subsequently manifest into depression and withdrawal. Not fully comprehending what she was going through, it was prompting from friends and family that she contacted Veterans Affairs for help and has been under their treatment ever since. Proud to say that she has recovered mostly from PTSD and has her mental well-being, mental health is mostly under control. In fact, she says she is stronger than she has been in many, many years. She is passionate about the outdoors, is a fan of multi-day backpacking and paddling, so much so that every year she hikes the West Coast Trail solo. That's 75 kilometers of a hike by herself. She also plans to hike the 3,525 kilometer Appalachian Trail, also solo, in 2014. This partner, backpacker, paddler has recovered from PTSD and has set some amazing goals. Let me introduce Rainbow Lyon. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Mercedes. Thank you for having me.
That's quite the list of things that you have done and are continuing to do, which is so amazing. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you. Great. I almost me. I was like, wow, she sounds interesting.
I know. I always love it when the guests can hear their bio, because I was saying earlier in another episode that I never knew or really reflected on the accolades that I did. So it is cool, and you did it all.
When you hear it come out of somebody else's mouth, it sounds so much more impressive.
It's awesome. I'm really proud of you. This is okay. Are you ready to drop in? We have 10 rapid fire questions that you've never seen before.
Never seen. Let's do it.
Okay. Number 1, where in the world are you today?
Well, I'm on Vancouver Island right now, in probably one of the most gorgeous places. I mean, I've traveled the world. I was in the Navy, but nothing much beats Mill Bay. Mill Bay, BC, about 20 minutes outside of Victoria, the capital. Right now, looking at the ocean outside my window, the ocean of Mill Bay. I can see the Victoria Airport. I'm just in paradise.
Yes, and it's a beautiful day.
Where
right?
are you right now, Mercedes? Where are you?
I'm in Whistler, British Columbia, Canada. That's home for me right now. But I will be flying to Mexico this evening, which is very exciting. I'm chasing the sun. It's fall. I need to chase that sunshine.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, number 2. What drew you to enroll in the military?
Oh, good question. Thank you for that one. Well, yeah, thanks for that. That is a great question, because I haven't reflected on this in a long time. But I've always said there is different personality types that join the military. The people that had a call to serve, like they just, for whatever reason, something inside of them told them they had to serve their country. 2, there's the people that really never kind of fit in, in school, and maybe they just couldn't find their military is a really good place to go to be able to, basically you're a guaranteed acceptance. And number 3, people are just looking for a really good job, because the military is a very stable, good job in Canada. It's got a pension, all that. So I would say I fell into the category really of, which was, I mean, very strange in my family. I was born and raised on Vancouver Island in an extremely liberal hippie family. I mean, my name is Rainbow Lyon, so it came to a big shock, my family and friends. But looking back, I didn't really ever know what it was. But I think I've wanted to serve my country from the time I was a little girl, and I just didn't know what that meant. And then I started working with ALS patients. Actually, that's where it came from. And I would meet these veterans, and most of the people veterans, and sometimes I would sit for hours after work and listen to their stories. And I just thought, I want that. Like, I want to do what they did. They were so brave, and I think I can do that. And I want that. Like, I want to be that brave. I want to serve. So it was one day, one of my patients, I thought, oh, you're crazy. What are you talking about? I said, my mom would die, first off. She would probably protest at my inauguration, which she did.
Oh, gosh.
But yes, he just said, just do it. And that's what I did. I walked into the recruiting office that very day, and I signed my name, and I was in boot camp in weeks.
How old were you? This is not part of the rapid fire, but how old were you when you enrolled?
In my early 20s, a little bit later than a lot of people did. I became a very young mom. I was pregnant at 16, and I was raising my son. So the option really wasn't there for me to raise him to a level where it was okay to leave him. Because in the military, you do leave a lot. And I did know that. I lived in a military town, so I got to know a lot of people in the Navy, which was really what pushed me towards the Navy, vice the Army. And it was like the rest of my world started that day. The rest of my life started that day that I signed my name.
So cool. Okay, number 3. How many different locations were you stationed? Now, I understand you were in the Navy, so you were probably on a boat. Most of the time, how many different boats were you on then?
Oh, well, see, in the Navy,
I mean, I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Well, the Navy, the Army, the military in general. I'm sorry, I've got my dog, Wet Nose.
Oh, that's perfect. That's love right there.
And it's so great. He's calming me down. Well, in the military in general, you have a base that you're based at. In the Navy, there's 2 options. Is basically for a Navy base is Esquimalt and Halifax. Esquimalt, because I am born and raised here on the island, and my family's here, so they did post me here.
Yeah.
And once you're stationed here, then you get sent to a unit within that base. And I spent most of my career on going back and forth between the HMCS Vancouver. But I did spend time on 2 or 3 other ships, the Ottawa. So then I did do 1 shore posting at Ardrock Pacific.
Okay, what is the
kind of like
HMCS?
headquarters? Her Majesty's Canadian ship, although to his, it'll still say the same HMCS, but at the time it was Her Majesty's Canadian ship. I don't know if they've changed that yet.
That's so interesting. There's so many acronyms in the military. I'm like, oh gosh, what does all this mean? That's awesome. Okay.
We get together, and it's basically you're just speaking an alphabet. And everybody around us is like, what the heck?
I love it.
It's a language in its own. It really is.
Amazing.
And with any subculture, you have a language. I'm sure it's the same with you, like with what you do with your sport. There must be snowboarding and even
people think we're like, we have a different language for sure. And it's funny in speaking engagements, I always like have to change it so that people will understand what I'm talking about and be really a lot more descriptive, which is super interesting. Wow. Okay, number 4. If you were into sports before or during serving in the military, what were they?
My biggest team sport was probably just being we had so many siblings growing up, and we didn't have a lot of money, so there wasn't a lot of extras like sports and team sports and that. Let's face it, we live in Canada, and it's expensive to play Canadian sports. So I did sports growing up. I was more individual. And I always thought that I wasn't athletic. That was my biggest thing. I just didn't feel like I was an athletic person, so I didn't do a lot of sports. Once I joined the military, the military in general, just like a team sport, you have the same kind of dynamics going on. Everybody's filling in for people's deficiencies, and all together as a unit, you're like this amazing, well-oiled machine because you've been together for so long, and you're filling in, where other people need you. It's really the only I guess, team sport or sport that I was really involved in while I was in the military. But I guess that doesn't really count.
No,
Sidetracked a little bit.
no, I think it's intriguing. It's such a good. It's so cool to get an inside view of what it's like to be in the military because I honestly don't know anything about it. So I appreciate that for sure.
I did actually. I played professional 8 and 9 ball before I
Oh, no
joined
way.
the military. I was a pool
Oh,
player. Yeah,
sick. That's
that was just a
rad.
misspent youth. It was.
And now you're super into paddling and going on extremely long hikes, but we're going to get into that later.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5. What was the first sport you were introduced to in the Soldier On program?
Paddling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, paddling. And in fact, I just completed my very first, I guess, big adventure with Soldier On. They have lots. I mean, I'm sure you probably already have heard all about it if you've spoken to some of the representatives from Soldier On. But I mean, we are talking anything from skeet shooting and rock climbing all the way up to fencing and I mean, you name it, snowboarding, skiing.
Yeah.
They tour in Whistler. They've done Base Camp Everest. They've done all these amazing things. And there is these big expeditions, but there's also these little things like there's a rock climbing and a scuba diving one that I'm going to participate in. Come out, hopefully, if I get chosen, if anyone from Soldier On is listening. The first event that I attended was we did a 200, or we paddled the Rideau Canal from Kingston to Ottawa. And that was my first event.
That's not a short trip.
No, 200, was it 205 kilometers or something? And I had never paddled in my life. So
okay, is this canoeing or is this kayaking?
This is canoeing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you in your own canoe
really
or are you with people?
We were in 2 in a boat.
Okay.
And we got partnered up at the beginning. We got partnered with people we'd never met before. And those people, we spent the entire, I believe it took us 9 days to paddle the entire 9 days. I mean, from the time you wake up in the morning until the time you get in at night, you're with that same person. And so we got to know a lot about each other.
Yeah.
And I had the most wonderful partner. I have to give a shout out to Charlie. Sweet Charlie,
Charlie.
Such a great man in the military. And and both of us had non-visible injuries. So it was a really nice 9 days, I have to say.
Wow. I mean, I'm just taking a moment trying to picture that and be like, fun, also grueling, and like probably huge breakthroughs.
Shout out to paddlers, I have to say. I mean, it didn't occur to me until about a kilometer in that, wow, you know, imagine walking or running for 200 kilometers. Now imagine pulling yourself with your arms.
Yeah.
Really pulling yourself with your arms.
How were your hands? Like, I know a lot of the rowers get like these crazy like calluses and bloody everything. Were you okay?
Yeah, I have to say that was my favorite part. I know that's weird, but you're an athlete. I'm sure you understand when I say the hardest parts are the best parts.
Yeah, true.
Like
the
mornings we got up and it was cold and windy and hard and hardship. Like we bonded so much through hardship, so much. And to this day, all of us are in contact. We all support each other. We speak regularly. So it was an amazing experience for sure.
Awesome. I love it. That's such a great story. Number 6, what would you say is the biggest risk you've taken in your life so far?
Other than becoming a parent?
You can say that. A lot of people do say that.
Well, it wasn't much of a risk for me, I guess, because it was something that I started so young. I made joining the military. That's a huge risk.
It is.
Because you walk in and you sign there's nothing else in the world like that. You literally sign a name and you are now you are a possession of your mind. Everything belongs to a job and a career and much more than a lifestyle, you know.
So rad. Okay. I'm just in awe of everything. That's why I'm taking moments. I'm like, it is really, really cool.
Oh my God, I'm speaking of Mercedes.
I love it. Okay, this is a lighter question, number 7. What puts a smile on your face?
I'm a smiley person. A
That's a
lot
good
puts a smile on my face. I
Yeah.
would say my dogs,
Uh-huh.
my children.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter's a teenager right now, so it's not always smiles. Sometimes
It's a
there's a
tricky
lot of
time.
tears. Why are they so mean? My dogs, my partner, Carlos. Honestly, these days, it's the quieter moments, where you're watching your family have dinner or where you're sitting next to your teenager who's actually talking to you. The little things, the
Yeah.
quieter things inside the house. I mean, you have to imagine being in the military, traveling the world, going to war zone, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's so extreme. You're living in
Yeah.
extremes, and then you exit the military, and you're back in the real world. You're in this world that you just don't recognize for so long. Your mind thinks differently. You act differently. You smell differently. Everything is different now, and so it takes a while to be able to enjoy those quiet times, those
Yeah, almost like
intense,
decompressing.
crazy times. Yeah.
For sure. No, that's respectable. Number 8. I know you're a very busy person. You paddle and hike and have family and dogs. But do you have time to watch TV shows? And if you do, what was the last show that you binge watched or the last book that you read?
I'm a huge physics and science nerd. So really,
I did not see that coming.
yeah, I know. I
That's
know at a kid's birthday party talking about Benford's law and, revert to the mean, all these things that these like scientific, yeah, it's pretty much, phrase that.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's
I
awesome.
can.
Again,
Sorry.
something I'm not into. So I'm here to
Yeah.
learn from you and learn what you're into. And so are you reading physics books?
I'm not much of a reader. I don't have a lot of time to read. And to be quite honest, I
Yeah.
don't sleep very well. With PTSD, I've created some terrible habits around sleeping. So if I try to read a
Yeah.
book, literally I can get 3-4 pages in and I will be dead asleep. And then I'll have to go back and read those times, just 3-4 words.
I don't think you're alone there. I do not think you're alone there in the world. That happens to me quite often.
Oh, does it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good to
Then the
know. I
book
thought,
will
man, I
like
must
fall
have-
on my face and I'm like, oh, I'm glad that was a light one.
It once took me 8 months to read a book, and I kid you not, because I had to keep reading over and over
Yeah.
again. But
Yeah, no.
I do watch a lot of documentaries, anything I can on anything that's going to blow my mind as far as the universe goes, or
Okay. Is that like documentaries on Netflix and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm in. I'm gonna have to get your list.
YouTube.
I want
got a big
to
one.
watch what you're
I just sent a
watching.
list to somebody. So
You did?
yeah.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Very
Number
represent.
9. What would be your favorite travel destination? I mean, I know you did just really sell the island, Vancouver Island, to everyone. Is there anywhere else?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of I mean, just because I mean, from Vancouver Island, logistically, it's such an easy place to go visit. You can get up in the morning, get on a plane, and you're there by lunch. But I would say, out of all the places I have traveled, the most interesting place I have been is Muscat, Oman.
Where's that?
And most of my travel has been done through the military. So you get a completely different experience, because when you show up especially, during times when you show up in a major military vessel and you're representing your country to people, it's a very different vibe. But we pulled into Muscat, Oman, and I believe we were the first foreign warship that was ever allowed for many, many years anyway, to come 100% untouched by Western culture. And it was a very interesting way of life to see, and just people so devoted to their belief systems and so devoted to their ways of life and to each other and to family. And we were there during Ramadan as well. So it's just like the length of their devotion, like the absolute scope of
Right.
their devotion to everything. And I think that was, for me, was probably the most interesting place I've traveled. I wouldn't say it would be
Where
my
is
favorite
it?
travel destination. Oman.
Miss-
It's in the Arab Emirates in the Middle East.
Okay. Wild. Yeah, it's such a different culture.
Please don't ask me to tell you where on the
No, I
map.
won't. I appreciate
Geography
the
is
Middle
not my
East. I
strong
got that.
point.
Once you said Ramadan, I'm like, I think I get where it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shout
What
out
a
again
journey.
to anyone from Oman. Like, beautiful country, beautiful people. Definitely.
Oh, awesome. Okay, number 10, the last of the rapid fire that are never rapid, but people get to know you, which is my favorite part. How long have you been part of the Soldier On program?
2 years, in or about. I mean, I did not realize the scope of what Soldier On meant. It was something that had been, I mean, mentioned it. Somebody from Veterans Affairs actually told me about it. It said, there's this program, and I know you're starting to find healing through physical activity, and there's this program, and you might be interested. And so I signed up and contacted them, and they sent me a grant for a year of my hot yoga membership. And that's how kind of I got introduced to them. I didn't realize there was all these, and I would get emails saying, hey, if you're interested in doing this, sign up. And one day I saw one for the paddling, and that was kind of the first time really like the scope of what Soldier On does.
Rad. I had Joe on, who's the acting manager right now of Soldier On, and he was telling me all about the program because from my views of Soldier On, I've just seen you guys come out to Whistler and learn to ski and stuff like that, and I just think it is the coolest program. So when I get to hear about, he was explaining how it's not just sports. It's evolved into like you can go painting and there's so many different options. Your dog sounds good. It's all good.
Yeah. Anything to exercise your mind and body.
Yeah. I just found it so amazing. So you did hot yoga as a recovery. I also used hot yoga as a recovery, and I haven't gotten back into it.
Yeah.
But
the
paddling, how were you drawn to the paddling? Was it just the opportunity of going on a long paddle, or was it just something you'd never done before?
As soon as I saw 200 plus kilometers or whatever it was, that was it for me. Because
you're like, I like a good challenge.
I do. In fact, I crave it. It's probably is challenge, and a challenge in a way of something that it's not just a challenge of something that I've already, somewhat conquered. And I get bored of things too easy. I played professional pool, and as soon as I got to where I felt like it was kind of the top, then onto something else. I don't even think I've picked up a pool cue since in 20 some odd years. But I definitely, it was the fact that I've never done it before.
Yeah.
B, it's a long challenge, and it's something I'm going to learn something new, and I'm all about it.
Amazing.
For me, that was the draw to that one in particular, was the distance and the absolute challenge of it.
Okay. And then hiking, let's talk about that. I mean, the West Coast Trail is no small feat. My brother and I were like, yeah, we want to do it. And I think I might kill him if I have to do it with him because I don't like hiking. And we're brother and sister. We'll push each other's buttons, but I know we would get through it. What is that trail like, and how many times have you done it?
Well, this was my second year. So 2 years ago, I met my sister for the first time. And the day I met her, unfortunately, she passed away. And it was not, she wasn't ill, or it was not expected. So it was a very, very opening that I met my sister. Turned out that she had the same name as, not Rainbow, but her name was Rain, which is very odd, and didn't know she existed, and met her. And the day I met her, she passed away. But we had this chance in this very short period of time to bond. I don't even think I've bonded with any other human in the way that I bonded with her. And she had some physical limits and disabilities, and she'd had strokes at the age of 13. So it had always kind of affected her physically. And I don't think that she could have done. And I don't know why. It was not something that she was interested in, but for some reason after she passed, something called me to start walking. And I just started walking, and I did the Wanda Fuca Trail with my brother and sister. And then
How did
and
it go
this
with
was
family? How did it go with your brother?
and
Tell
that
me about
started
that.
it. And I just kept walking, and then I did all of like the Cluedock Trail, and I kept finding these new trails and just walking on them. And I had done some mountain climbing and some backpacking before, but it just became an obsession. And every time I would,
Amazing.
and this is literally how I was able to get over the death of my sister, was through the West Coast Trail, because, you know, you've got a week, it's quiet. You have a thought, you can start that thought, and you can continue that thought all the way to the end, because you're alone with fear, with challenge, all this. You have nothing but time. So I realized that I got home from that really, I mean, in 1 week, I was very, very in a good place as far as that whole, I was like, hey, there's something here. You know, there's something here. I got to keep walking, because she's with me when I walk, and I'm showing her the world right now. So to me, in a way, when I go to the trail, I go to visit my sister, and I show her things that she couldn't have seen on her own.
Amazing. I love that. Wait, but you said you started out with your brother. How did that go? Because I have not done that ever with my brother before.
It actually went really well. My brother is a powerhouse. He is a strong man, physically, emotionally. And I think anytime I've ever kind of gone through really something like major in my life, I look for my brother. And I've got lots of siblings, but there's something about my older brother, Matthew, that I just look for him. And so hiking with him and through that trail, there was a lot of times where emotionally it was kind of like I was not doing okay. And all I had to do was look over and see my brother and see him, you know, overcoming these obstacles and climbing these hills and doing that. And that gave me a lot of inspiration. And I don't think we fought. I don't think we fought the whole time.
No time to fight.
Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Oh,
I told you
sorry?
I was raised in a hippie family, right?
You did.
That's a whole
you did, but then
episode.
I have lots of
Next
brothers
question.
and sisters. I was like, how many does she have?
There's a lot.
Okay.
Well, you know, hippie days, and we used to say the definition of confusion is so. There's a lot of us, but my parents also took in a lot of children growing up, and adopted or fostered children growing up. So we always had we had up to 13 kids in the house.
Oh my gosh. Wild. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's amazing.
It was a good life. I had a really good upbringing. Lots of friends to play with all the time.
Heck yeah. All right. I do want to touch about you overcoming PTSD and how your friends and family got involved in I guess, I mean, what I read from your bio is like they were like, go get help. Is that how it worked?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a little bit of that, and a little bit like, Lord, woman, go get help. It was a bit of both. Like, go get help. Go get help.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that I was suffering, and I mean, I had no idea what PTSD was. You know, you think PTSD, you think of those soldier fights and explosions, and that was not my personal experience. And this is a message that I'm realizing that is my message to give about PTSD, and it's been coming more and more evidence that not all PTSD comes from the same. PTSD is the same, and not all trauma is the same, and it affects everybody differently. And just because if you throw an egg out of a first floor window or a 10th floor window, it doesn't matter if it's broken when it hits the ground. It doesn't matter what floor it came from. And that's kind of had to accept in myself, was that I am not allowed to have this label of PTSD because I didn't do what they did, or I didn't do what this person did. And you know, and then when I finally did get treatment, and, you know, moving like later on in my treatment, I did go to a treatment center. First thing we all did when we walked in the doors, everybody apologized for, you know, I know I shouldn't be here. I don't have a right to be here because you this. And then I had people saying that to me, you know, wow, with what you went through, you know, I shouldn't even be here. And I thought, well, that's strange. And that's where I started, just comes from so many different things. And
Yeah.
once I kind of like accepted that and realized, okay, you know, there's something going on here. And I was really fast tracked then, because you're an athlete, you understand this. Anybody who has, you just need to know what the problem is. As soon as I know, I can deal with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can handle this, but I just need to know what the problem is. And
Really.
when you come from a military background, and when you are trained and trained and trained to be hard and to not show those things, and to be a good follower, and to be, you know, and to go through
Yeah.
these things, and people rely on you basically for their life. So you can't be there all, you know, flipsy flopsy. You got to be one way. And so it kind of encapsulates you into this hard shell. And it took something that I was diagnosed with even very quickly after I got out of the military. It took a long time. I melted, you know, and that's what I always say. I kind of just started to melt. And as I was melting, all this stuff was like falling out of me. And I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't people around me poorly. I was, you know, it was just a really tough time in my life. And I don't think I could have ever admitted to myself that that's what was going on. So it did take external sources saying like, listen, you're not okay. You're not doing okay. Yeah. It was like, and I remember the day actually when I reached out to Veterans Affairs and said, hey, I think there's something wrong with me. And I thought they were going to laugh and turn me away because it had been a while since I'd been out of the military. But they said, come here. And I knew a lot of people have had, you know, Veterans Affairs, and my experience has been 100% positive. And I have taken advantage of every single thing they've offered or that is out there for me. I've done a lot of research on what it is that's out there. I've just sucked it all in. And I have to say, yeah.
You say you're like, it's possible to overcome PTSD because you're living proof. It's absolutely amazing.
That's not a popular opinion, Mercedes. Not a lot of people believe that. You know, the popular opinion, and it's funny, of other veterans, and said, you know, like, hey, because we all had to introduce themselves, and you know, some people were saying, my name is so and so, and I have PTSD. My name is so and so, and you know this. And I said, my name is Rainbow, and I'm recovered from PTSD. And, you know, even in that situation, well, we don't ever recover. We know that you know, it'll something we always, you know, I said, no, it's true. Like, I had a doctor tell me that very early on in my diagnosis, like, this is treatable. It is treatable, and it is possible to overcome PTSD. It is.
Yeah. I love that. I think the doctors, so I had a crash in 2014 and suffered depression and couldn't do pretty much anything for 2 years, just trying to fight to get back. And I'm so grateful that opening up and sharing this because it's so true. As you talked about earlier, like people put this like, oh, I'm not as bad as them. But once you start sharing your story and then they're like, thank you so much for sharing your story. You get this feedback and you're just like, oh, yeah, okay, what I did just share is actually really vulnerable and other people will learn from it and understand that they're not alone. So I appreciate you sharing so much because it's possible and it's so cool to hear. And, you know,
yeah,
I hope the listeners.
I've actually had people say, I didn't know it until you said it, but I think I've recovered from PTSD. I didn't know we were allowed to do that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And there are doctors that will say no.
Strange.
It's hard to find the good doctors that are on your side and are prepared to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a challenge. Well, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I do have a personal question.
Yes.
Are you a potential candidate for the Soldier On coming out to Whistler to ski?
I haven't received the bulletin about it. If there's an upcoming one coming, but
February.
I mean, absolutely. I'm close. February. Well, if there's anyone from Soldier On listening right now,
there we go. I mean, I don't know how it all works, but
well, you receive these bulletins like, hey, this is coming up. If you're interested, put your name forward. And then they, you know, they have to make it fair. They have to make sure that everybody gets a chance. Something. And as the membership grows and grows and grows, I'm seeing more and more activities coming at it. Yeah, like and now I know better. I know better because I have seen things that have come through and I thought, I don't know if I'd enjoy that. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, send me to pick up horse poop. I don't care if I'm with the Soldier On program, I will go because they do it right. It was amazing. The fact that it wasn't just the fact that we paddled the Rideau Canal. It's the fact that I just spent well, 13 days in total, including our training with military people that I forgot that I was a part of. You know, I didn't know that community was there for me anymore. I didn't realize. I thought I handed in my ID card, you know, took everything, and I was no longer military. In fact, I walked out of the front gates and I looked back and I thought, man, if I want to go back on that base, somebody has to escort me on. I can, and, you know, I just served this place. So it was a very isolating, and for years it affected me. I cried a lot because I missed the military. I missed my life. I missed my friends. I missed all the, and I didn't know there was something like Soldier On there where I can revisit that and I can be a part of that. And I can, you know, that was probably the best part, feeling that military presence again and realizing this is where these are my people. This is my community. This is my community right here, these people. And I always thought that it was me, like I don't fit in anywhere anymore. And you probably feel the same thing when you get
same
to a
thing
certain
about
level.
sport.
Like I don't fit in anymore. How do you move on after that? Like, how do you integrate into, like, I'm not like these, you know, I'm just not like, and I realized it's not me. It's not that I didn't fit in. It's just that I didn't know that I was just not in the right
opportunity
community.
around. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're in your community, you fit, you just do. And it's not about you anymore. It's about, okay, I just have to find the right place, you know, for me.
It's
and that was
true.
it.
Yeah, I do see some similarities for our listeners and viewers that are watching. When I retired from competitive snowboarding, I was similar, but not at all. I was on the road a lot. Like, I was never home. I was home for Christmas. That was my one constant, because I was lucky that I didn't have a competition at that time. And to just not have that and not have my teammates anymore, it is something else. And it is, a lot of athletes do end up committing suicide because it is such a drastic change. So I can totally see how in the military, as you just explained it, here, my badge, I'm gone. That's it. So, oh my gosh, the Soldier On community sounds
it would be
amazing.
like you having an organization for professional athletes,
Mm-hmm.
where it didn't matter what sport you played. You could all get together, a trip together or something. You know what, as soon as you got in that group of people, you understand there would be a whole different Mercedes, probably, that none of us can see, because that's your community. That's where you are. And when you do something so extreme, you become defined. You know, at one point in your life, people say, what do you do? And you say, I'm Mercedes and I am a professional athlete. There's something in that. There's something, you know, that is, it's a very extreme thing, and people are curious. They want to know. They want to know more about it. It's an opener, and people, you know, you say, I'm the military, or, you know, anything really like extreme like that. When you don't have that anymore, and you've defined it, literally, you can't be in the military and not have it define your personality and who you are. You can't be a professional athlete and not have it define who you are. When you have no definition anymore, it can really feel isolating, and feel like you don't have a place.
Totally. It's a scary world out there. So I'm glad that you've found Soldier On and you're persevering and doing all these cool adventures. 2024, you're going to be on a massive hike. Are you ready for it?
Not yet. No, I haven't even started preparing, which is not. I'm kind of one of those last minute people, and for some reason things always seem to work out for me, so I'm not too worried. But only I had planned 2023, and then I went and fell in love. And luckily, he's somebody that 100% supports my plan, because it's a 6-month leave. You know, I'll be gone for close. I mean, you really need to start this because of the weather, the type of trail it is. But so 2023 isn't gonna. Well, I don't think it's gonna happen. You never know with me. But now my goal is 2024. So I have to, I'll still do something next year, but I'll just have to maybe year till 2024 for the Appalachian Trail. But I'd like to do it solo. I would like to through hike it. So I would like to go and start and finish all in one go. We'll see.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
That's my
plan.
How
can I follow this? Are you gonna be posting this anywhere, or is this just like a for you thing? Or I'm just gonna text you. I'm gonna text you.
Well, that's been a big part for me, because I find the more and more that I get out in the trails, the more and more I like being alone and in the quiet. It's such a contrast being in a place like that with a cell phone and recording. To me, it's it takes away, or and not only
even
that,
if
but
you
my
just
partner is
even if you just and then write about it after, that'd be cool.
That's true. Yeah. Writing about it. That's a good idea, actually.
Like
My
the old-fashioned
partner
way,
is,
pen to paper.
yes. Well, my partner's he's a movie enthusiast, and he enjoys making small films, and he's really been eager at this and to do a
A documentary.
documentary on it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that's I don't quite know how the logistics for that would work. You know, if I
Right.
told him, if you can figure out a way to do it that I won't even know you're there with us, as
Yeah,
long as
because that's
he's
your
hiking with me.
moment. That's your
Yeah,
moment. That's your, like, happy space and almost like therapy. Like, when I go
very
jogging,
private.
I don't always bring my phone, and sometimes I do jog tours so that I get through the jog because I don't like it. But, that's where I get, like, most of my thoughts, and it's like a form of therapy, and so I completely understand maybe not wanting to have someone with you, and also maybe just putting a pen to paper so that we
Do
can
you
hear.
get
I'll have you back
recognized
on.
ever when you go out for? Do you
You
ever
know what?
get recognized when you're?
In Canada, no, people are too, like, nice and humble. Sometimes I'll hear, like, whispers from people. I'm like, "I can hear you." But no,
That's
no.
cute. I hear whispers behind
It's
my back too, but it's usually like, that woman has mustard on her shirt.
I probably have, like, something in my teeth too, no.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I am glad I have your phone number so that I can text you and see where you're at in the
Please do.
trail.
Please do.
And then also, I want to know what you're going to put in your backpack and how much you're going to carry, because that always boggles my mind. I did like a whole series of that with athletes, being like, what is in your pack? Because especially if you're going on a hike, you can't be that much. I don't know. We're going to have to have another episode.
Actually, I've got it down to a science.
I bet
my
you do.
bag is, oh yeah. I'll share.
I'm
gonna
gonna have
with anyone.
I'm gonna have to. You're not gonna share that with anyone?
No, I said I will. I'll share it
Oh,
with
you will.
everyone,
Okay.
because
Okay.
since I've learned about what I shouldn't for 100 kilometers, it's changed my life, and it's changed how much I love being out there too.
Amazing. I'm gonna have to have you back on. That's it. Sold.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, Rainbow, thank you.
And I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign up for that. Snow going to be one of the pros.
Yeah, because I'm going to be here in February probably, so I get to see everyone.
Excellent.
I got
Excellent.
challenged to
so
come
excited.
out and see everyone, so that's exciting.
You should probably on one episode or another explain to people what it is that they do, because I did meet somebody that did, and he told me about the program and what happened or what they did, and it was absolutely amazing. Okay. And so I thought, wow, if I ever see that come up, I want to do that one for sure. And so I think you should have an episode and have somebody from that, and just did for some of the veterans. I met one in particular who went on the snowboarding one last year, and it saved his life. That's all.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to talk about him, but that saved his life. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Soldier On is such a great program. You're such a great human. Thank you, Rainbow, so much for dropping in with us today.
Thank you so much. Get out there and sign up for Soldier On. It's out there.
Do it. Thanks so much for dropping in today. You can find everything you want to know about Dropping In with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.